It's not time to talk yet, Jackson. I can hear you very well.
Can I get one of the headphones?
Can you get one of the headphones?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to ask Uncle Bert to help you with that.
Oh, it's all tangled up. Hold on, wait.
Yeah, it's the other way. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, it could be good afternoon. My name is DJ George Chuck, and I am here with you. We are live. I've got my pro fight, my friend, my brother, Bert Jackson. We are live on the balcony of the Live Oak Lounge. It's a lot of lives. It was live. We had Live Oak Lounge. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jackson. You can't hear yourself. We also have Bert's godson, Jackson. He is here. We are broadcasting live. So let me let y'all see where we are. We are live. MGM Park is right behind us. The MLK Coastwide celebration is happening right now. And
let me just interject here.
Yeah, get in there. Get in there.
I definitely like the backdrop. I think it's spicy and sexy.
I think it's sexy. That's nice, man. Shout out to the first responders back there. We got the fire department along with Biloxi PD. So Biloxi Fire Department, Biloxi PD.
And Biloxi PD is Biloxi PD.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Let's just say that.
Hey, man, shout out to the first responders, all of our public servants that are out there doing their daily duties, and those of them that are working on this day of service.
And some of those are being overzealous. Hey, but you know what? Maybe in the line of duty when they're doing their job, what is overzealous?
What is overzealous? I don't know.
But hey, you know, as I was pulling in, let me rethink this. Well, my Neo pulled in. Clearly, he's a man of business. Trailer still attached. I got it made, posted all over, everywhere.
Fade our theme music down.
Definitely knowing this man is about no foolishness. He's about business. And you know, they question him, stop him, but you know, they let him make it. I pull in.
What they say, man? What they say?
A little bit more shenanigan-y-ish.
Yeah.
I guess
it wasn't that bad, man.
Look, my music wasn't loud. You see the attire that I have in, but the vehicle may have
Which is a very nice vehicle, might I add.
May have been profile-ish, but you know.
The possibility for profiling was great.
Hey, probably on a scale of 1 to 10, we might need to profile him. But if you look at the vehicle, you know, it wasn't a box Chevy.
So Bert, why are we here? I know you're going off on your diatribe and your analysis of.
Let me get back to it.
Why are we here?
We're not gonna get sidetracked with that. Today is about a celebration, observing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday.
Right.
And within that, many different levels, constructs, observations.
Right.
And we're just here to, you know, give our nickel and a penny. Never 2 cents.
Nickel and a penny. A little bit more than what you bargained for, huh?
A little bit more.
Yeah. So Jackson, would you like to say hello now?
Speak to him, nephew.
You look right there at the camera and say hello.
Hello.
Introduce yourself. Like we do when we do our slates. Say hello, my name is.
Tell them who you are.
Yeah.
Jackson.
No, say the whole thing like we practice when we do our slates.
Hello, my name is Jackson Townsend, and 5 years old.
All right, you gotta speak up and speak into the microphone, okay?
He's thirsty. Get you some water.
Yeah, get you a little.
Do what you just did. One more time. Say it again.
Hello, my name is Jackson Townsend. I'm 5 years old, and I'm from Death Point, Mississippi.
Very good, sir. I appreciate that.
Good job.
That. That was great. McRae Patterson is around here somewhere. My name is DJ George Chuck Patterson. Who are you, Bert?
There's a lot of ways to find me and acknowledged by different ways. What my mother gave me. My name is Bert Jackson. I served as a counselor for the Moss Point School District, and I've served in other capacities. But also, you know, those who just only know me by social media, you can find me at Blackjack Kennels. You know, a lover of canines and specializing in bullies.
That's right.
French bulldogs. Just had a litter. We'll talk about that later, shortly, or maybe you can get me at that. And also, I don't do micros. Kind of going in that, but that's the second thing.
What? What's a micro?
You have different standards as it relates to bulldogs.
Yeah.
You have exotics, you have micros, you have pockets, you have standards, and you have XL and double XL. All of those dogs are from the same gene pool, but what you do, depending on what your preference is, say you're a little bit bougie, you might want to holler at your boy maybe about a French bulldog. Say you're a little less than bougie, you might want to holler at your boy about a pocket or a micro bully. Say you bought that life and you got plenty of space and you want your dogs just run around, standard XL and double XLs. I do not deal in those, but I can put you in contact with some people who have some excellent dogs.
I do support the statement that was just made. Outstanding dogs, very family oriented dogs. They love on you.
Love on you.
Yeah, they love on you.
Now, if you're not a person that might not need a lot of animal with that's attention seeking and needs a lot of attention,
these ain't the dogs.
These ain't the dogs for you, because these babies love attention and want attention. But that's secondary information. What we are discussing today is MLK, his legacy, the positive aspects of it. And guess what? It would not be a podcast if we just only focused on the positive attributes. But
we got to talk about all of it.
It's some things that MLK probably got his lip booted at about it. He is not pleased about. Like, what are we talking about?
What are we talking about? So look, let's set the stage for one, why we are here, where we are, what's going on behind us, because I'm pretty sure that our listening audience can hear
and see.
You've got folks heading into the MGM Park. We are just across the street from MGM Park, where the Biloxi Shuckers play, and the event that's happening is the MLK Coastwide Celebration Battle of the Bands. The MLK Weekend Coastwide Celebration Parade has just ended. We were able to catch glimpses of Alcorn State, along with bands from Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, Louisiana, and the Mississippi Gulf Coast that are participating in a great event. Thousands of people are already in the stadium. I'm pretty sure that you can see them filing into their seats right now. And we're going to have a conversation about, the community culture and what all of this means in terms of Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. And Bert, tell them about the place that we're at, man.
This is a place where, there are very few degrees of separation, but luckily, I don't know, the vibe here has always been well for us. When we started our podcast, Mixed Messages, as you see, my right-hand man, literally at the moment, my other right-hand man, not Jacob. You see his payroll, Mixed Messages. We started, how long, a year and a half, maybe?
Yeah, about a year and a half. Yeah,
we started our podcast here. Originally, we were moving around in different locations to catch a vibe, but this place of business welcomed us with open arms. And to be really honest about it, the vibe and the setting, as you see, you probably couldn't pay for in California. This would be about $100,000 a day.
Yeah. Most definitely.
So we're directly across, as Chuck told you, we're directly across from the MGM field, but also we're directly across on the south side from the Beau Rivage on the corner of Calvet and Highway 90. And we're on the balcony. It's about 65 degrees with a slight breeze. And it's a little overcast, but overall the vibe is delicious.
Very much so. So if you're ever in the Biloxi area on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, you want to check out attractions that are happening right here off of Highway 90, Philip with Billups, Live Oak Lounge, along with MGM Park. The Beau Rivage is right across the street, and we are beneath these live oaks.
Live oaks, literally.
Yes, literally live oaks. So we thank each and every one of you all for tuning in. If you have, we see our brother Aloysius Ballard, who's on the scene somewhere. He's checking in with us. So leave us a comment, leave us a like on whatever platform that you might be viewing on, and we're gonna get this conversation started. So Bert, I see you got some on your screen over there. We wanted to talk about, MLK's legacy, what today means uh, for us as a community, but then also, you know, we said we were going to have a multi-dimensional conversation. So where do you want to start in terms of legacy and what it means today?
Let's start off with what should be common knowledge. Let's ease into it.
Okay.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Are you cold? Go inside.
Pretty much the pinnacle, and as I'm looking at one of the writings that I found, actually, I guess a synopsis by Emily Martin. She starts off and she references Dr. Martin Luther King as a pillar and as a towerer over civil rights from the 50s to the 60s. But his approach was a little bit different. People tend to get hung up on the fact of him being about nonviolence. But if you take a deeper dive into it, at the time, his approach, you can tell that it was layered.
Yeah.
Nonviolence, because you couldn't do anything to get to any place with an aggressive movement, but you had to be 2 or 3 steps ahead related to the powers that be. And when I talk about the powers that be, we're talking about from a presidential standpoint to a judicial standpoint to a congressional standpoint.
Yeah.
He had to think and make movements related to all levels of those,
especially locally too,
and locally.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I learned something yesterday. Everybody wants to talk about the interaction or what happened. One of the biggest significant movements related to having dogs released on you, having water hoses push on you.
Yeah.
Did you know? And I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, but one of the most interesting things that I've learned since yesterday, everybody knows about the story about Bull Connor when they were doing the march, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what Bull Connor's God-given name was?
What? No. I've only referred to him as Bull Connor, and only honestly ever heard him referred to as anything other than that.
Everybody, the world will always know him as Bull Connor, but his God-given name was Theophilus.
Really? Wow. That's what. Look, Theophilus Eugene Connor.
Do you know what Theophilus is means?
Break it down.
Theophilus. There's just some things. Learning is great.
It is.
Yesterday, I learned that Theophilus was his God-given name, Theophilus Eugene Connor. But Theophilus is transposed as friend of God.
The prefix being Theo or Theol. Yeah.
Theophilus.
Yeah.
Transposed as friend of God. Now, any of those you who don't know about the story for Bull Connor, it's a lot and it's layered, but you really need to do some research related to Bull Connor and how it related to the civil rights movement and the part that he played and the hurdles that he put in place. Not only was there hurdles, but intentional gates to keep us from progressing appropriately. So yeah, Theophilus Eugene Connor, also known as Bull Connor. How y'all doing? There'll be other people that you see in and out because, like I said, we're in a live setting right now, and you'll see people come in and out. But we're having some offset adjustments right now. One of our hosts, our junior host, is having some difficulty. So, also another thing that's going on in relation to the celebration that we're having, as me and Chuck was discussing what was going on, people want to talk about the positive effects of his movement and what he was doing. But, there are some things that have negatively affected MLK Day.
Yeah.
People look at it as just a day of rest. People look at it as a day to take off. People look at it as a day to party. I'm going to pitch this to Chuck. How do you feel about that?
Well, let me say this. With me, one being from Alabama, being from Alabama and having heard some of these stories, it's over here, guys. It's over here. I'm sorry for all of but I'm being a father too. Today is a self-care day for Shallon. So she has things that she's had planned, and the boys are hanging out with me and their uncle. So yeah, we moving and grooving. But Bull Connor is one of those names that is often mentioned in conversations when you hear of the civil rights, especially with what happened in Alabama. Now, with the thing that it makes me think about, you have a name, then people give you another name, a nickname, right? For instance, my name is George, but I don't shy away. Pretty much everybody gonna know that my name is George and Chuck. Some people gonna refer to me as both. Some people will refer to me, by one or the other.
Depends on the situation.
Depends on the situation. The thing is, this person never went by the name that his family gave him in terms of what
God-given name.
Right. God-given name. Now, at what point did he ever walk in his God-given name?
So, as we are members of the same church, the same house of faith, that was the pastor's.
That was his message.
That was his message.
Really?
What name do you answer to? Well, it was an aspect of it. What name do you answer to, or when people address you, are you an attorney? Are you doctor? Are you Mister? Are you Bert?
Right.
Are you Hubert? Are you George? Are you Chuck?
Yeah.
The world knew him as Bull Connor.
Bull
in a china shop. Bull with easily enraged, angry at all times.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. But
sorry, Pastor.
Sorry, Pastor. But there's been some times when he wanted to say that. I can't say I've actually heard him say that, but I read him pretty good. How you doing, Dr. John H. Whitfield? On the flip side of it, he wasn't walking in what the translation of his name was,
right?
Or he didn't act like that. He was the oppressor, or a part of the oppressing of a whole nation of people.
A whole nation of people. A whole nation. Now, with you saying that, when you look at his upbringing within the context of slavery and the Bible being used as a tool of oppression, I learned a term from, I think I might have learned it from Chaplain Johnson. Yeah, dog, I forgot to call Chap on his birthday. His birthday was Friday.
Shout out to Chap Johnson.
Yeah. Eisegesis is like you use your interpretation to make the Bible fit your narrative
for what's appropriate
for you, or what's most beneficial for you. You're being selfish with it.
And there have been so many arguments related to our history as the African American diaspora, where we came from, what our history is, what part we played in history. And I'm not talking about history of the last 400 to 500 years. I'm talking about the history of thousands of years.
Hold on. Somebody riding by. What they playing? The Michael Jackson.
I think that's appropriate for today.
Look at the man in the mirror, y'all. So, well, I don't. We got to keep talking because I don't want us to get flagged for playing that without our voice having, being able to break it up.
You can't control variables.
Right.
But yeah, what we represent from thousands of years ago, as we were brought to this country, you get into the semantics and the history of it. We knew nothing about Christianity. Christianity was something that we were introduced to once we got to this country. And if you look in aspects of the Bible and certain pillars of the Bible and its teaching, nonviolence, turn the other cheek, just all kind of aspects. And when you're dealing with aspects
I guess he had to take a phone call.
Hey,
But keep going.
took that phone
Keep
call.
going.
And if you're looking at that aspect, when we're talking about 300-400 years ago, what is the best way to keep the people under your foot or under
Yeah.
your thumb, except to introduce them into a religion that teaches them to be submissive and not to fight against their oppressor?
So switching from Bull Connor and maybe even bringing it into today, our current times. It seems to me that we're still dealing with Bull Connors.
Yeah, yeah. The names have just changed. They just changed the names from Bull Connor to state police, local police, Minnesota PD, Houston PD,
Yeah.
Baton Rouge PD, and as of recently, very recently, home Gulfport Police Department. So the effects of or remnants of suppression suppression of the oppressed or oppression of the oppressed, it's still here. It's just different, and it's more relative and more accessible because we're in the information age.
Yeah.
And that conversation pops up too. Just imagine if people had social media or iPhones, or to my friends out there in Galaxy Land, readily available information to where they were recording information as it happened.
Well, if you think about it, that was the reason, or that was the method, meaning that, the same way that we've got our folks that are on the ground now, and they say, we must document these interactions between these two groups of people, or this one representative of quote unquote law enforcement, and then the community in which they were entrusted to protect. But the whole reason why they say we're going to do the children's march, while we're going to march in these different places, we're going to do these sit-ins, they said if the country never knows, then we'll never get any sort of change.
The tree falls and nobody hears it.
Did it? Yeah, did it really fall? So now let me ask you this: we Dr. King, he and other civil rights leaders put these plans and actions into motion, and it seems initially, from my readings and my studies over the years, that it was most focused on civil rights. But before his sermon, is I guess you would say one of his last messages, it started to change more so from integration to economic rights.
And in that synopsis of his history, you cannot have, how should I put this? You cannot have a positive and long lasting effect of anything or a group of people without having an economic basis or economic foundation.
It's got to be about the money.
Where the money resides.
Yeah, where the money resides.
It has to be about that, because, and we're dealing with aspects of that now. As a whole, African Americans or people of the diaspora, we are great consumers. Probably the greatest consumer statistically as it relates to goods. But what do we have as it relates, or what do we
in terms of manufacturing,
right, longevity, production, things of that nature? We consume. Well,
I mean, now you're getting into, like the whole thing of colonialism, imperialism, and the long lasting effects that you've had when you have a people that are 400 years removed from
their origin,
right, in this country,
right.
But colonialism has its effects across the country, across the world, the entire world. So yeah, I like the brain, or the wavelength that you operating on, or where you're going with it. The question is like, I want to know I would like to know from some of the people that were closest to Dr. King, like what was the moment when he was like, you know what, this this civil rights thing ain't it.
This ain't it. But it's funny you should say that.
Integration, civil rights, all of that.
It's funny that you should say that because I think this is my theory, and those of you who are turned in or who will hear this or see this in the future, I like to get your perspective on it. I think early on in the movement, with him being the tugboat behind the ship, I think theoretically he romanticized about it. If you just look at its inception, its formation, the movement, and the progression from there on, I think the theory of it he romanticized about. If you just keep pushing the information and getting it out to the masses, maybe it'll be enough to formulate a change. But in the process of getting the information out, there are people being attacked, there are people being lynched, there are people, in the areas where those who are in theory sent to protect us, they are the oppressor. And then, it was happening in real time for him. You're with your family, you're with your friends, you're with your supporters, and you're walking and marching and singing, and the next thing you know, they're unleashing dogs on you, or they're putting water hoses on you, and
sending you to jail,
right? Based on a nonviolent, peaceful protest, which the which our country put in writing that it is your right to do.
Yeah.
Prior to this even happening, so I think after a while, based on how it initiated, I think he romanticized about it. But after setbacks, after detriments, and after the negativity that was associated with it, I think with anything, you put it in place, you implement it. But when implementation doesn't follow the theory, you have to sit back and adjust, step back and adjust.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you have had so much data to analyze, you get to the point where you say, well, this plan might not, the one that we're currently, it's not working. Like we got to reassess. We've got to change our inputs so that we can get a better output. So us talking about the change where Dr. King's not rhetoric, but his messaging began to switch from, and we thank everybody for chiming in the comments there. Brother James, we're not going to be able to call you because we don't have that capability. But we appreciate your comments, and Safe Moon KD, we appreciate you chiming in with us too. But Dr. King switched from integration and civil rights to more so economic rights and economic mobility. It makes me think about where we are right now with Earn Your Leisure, Red Panda, those cats that are teaching, financial literacy, Ash Cash, Wall Street Trapper. So you have these people that have created this kind of ecosystem where they're taking the layer of, all right, I gotta go to college to learn something so that I can make money. Where now it's like they cutting out 40, 50, 60, $70,000 in student debt, and you pay, maybe a couple $1,000s for a year's worth of education. And now
that's teaching you how to fish.
And then you can say, well, look, hey, here's a fish.
which and
Is that what Dr. King was dreaming of?
which was so crazy because I think there are aspects of his dream and of his theory that were blind spots. For example,
Okay.
um, college education.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about economic growth and economic stability, but for African American people, well, let me take a step back. Let me even go before that. We are just, and I'll say in the last 50 years, within the last 50 years, we are just getting to where, number one, we have a seat at the table.
And we have our own tables too. Yeah.
I was about to get to that.
Yeah.
Where we actually have the ability to create our own tables. Because before you can create your own table, before you can get a seat at the table, before you can create your own table, you have to understand the game that you're playing.
Right. Right.
So you have to get the format, and there are barriers that have been put in place for it. Back to my original statement. Our parents' generation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with them.
Yeah.
Maybe even our grandparents, but I think it's a layover. Our grandparents and our parents' generation go to school, get an education. But within getting that education, the way that it was set up, back to your imperialism, back to your capitalism, which is really what we're talking about.
Hello. Where's Josh?
Which is really what we're talking about. Shout out to Neo Josh. It's set up, yeah, we're going to give you this opportunity to be equal.
Right.
But at the same time, you're searching to be equal. It's not equitable.
It's not equitable because equality and equity are two different,
totally different things. So yeah,
like we can both work at this company. I own it.
I own it. You just gonna be my worker.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
we both work. We
both work.
You got a job. I got a job.
Yeah, you there. I'm gonna provide you the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But I'm 90% off of your 10% of work. That is not equity.
Right.
So,
that is not equity.
So we're putting you in a position to where you can be educated on these things. But at the same time, once you get done with your education, we're going to give you at best 70s, 80s, and 90s education. Shout out to all my educators. We're going to give you this $35,000 job, but you in debt $100,000.
And then you still have to have a place to live. The cost of living always is going to be an issue where you don't want to live in a certain place, or
right.
this particular place doesn't have the resources or the things that you would like it. Yeah.
So that goes back to my conversation about Dr. King's vision maybe having a blind spot.
Yeah.
Because but I think it was a necessary blind spot. And that's not to take anything away from his vision, or that's not to take away if he foresaw it or not. I just think it was a growth pain or growth spurt that we had to go through to get to where we need to get the Oprah Winfrey's, to get the Tyler Perry's, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So with these blind spots, are there other blind spots that you've been able to recognize or maybe point out or identify?
One of the another blind spot, like I said, I'm going to
Jackson's. There you go. Thank you.
Get back to other blind spots that we're dealing with. How about the age-old argument? W.E.B. Du Bois,
the 10th, talented 10th
versus Frederick Douglass, I believe.
But
yeah, W.E.B. Du Bois and the talented 10. Those conversations and those thought processes.
Yeah,
like assimilation versus individuality. So why do you have to assimilate when you can create your own? I get it and I understand it, but here's the same thing when you create HBCUs. the purpose of the HBCUs behind them and why they were created.
Okay, thank you.
Versus PWIs. Seat of the Mississippi Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
Your alums, Tougaloo College, the sit-ins and the things that you're having to battle with and focus on because you are so far behind in the race of equality that you have to seek equality. And me and my dad had that argument all the time. In order to get to equity, you have to go through equality.
In order to get to equity, you have to go to equality. So meaning that like you have a microphone, I have a microphone, but do you have cables? You know what I'm saying? Like,
like I'm over here.
You got an amp, you got a speaker.
I'm over here, I got the minimum.
Yeah.
But you over there, not only do you own the company, you got a mic and you own the company that makes the microphone.
Yeah.
So I got an old raggedy microphone that came from your company and you're handing it down, but you got the 2023 version. I got the 2013 version.
And we could take these microphones out and put textbooks. We could put schools. We could put healthcare systems.
School, living conditions and places.
Water infrastructure.
Hello, Jackson.
Yeah.
Hello, Detroit.
Flint. Yeah.
But then,
so how do you get past equality to get to equity? And I mean, is it even because the thing that I'm thinking is like, all right, let's talk about if integration never happened, and we continue to
let me cut you off right there. you know there are some people and there are some groups, lack of a better word, who actually feel that integration was a hindrance.
Yeah.
And when I first heard that, when I'm learning about the civil rights movement and I'm looking at it and learning the difference between equality and equity, I'm like, how is integration a detriment?
Now look at it from this standpoint. Let's take education, because that's one lane that we've been driving in. When we began to go into the schools that we couldn't go to, right? They say we're going to integrate. They said, and these are from readings that I've done. Which teachers do y'all want to stay? Which teachers do y'all want to stay? And those were the teachers that they said, oh, okay, we'll take them. And then
we go your cable, make that work the best way you can.
Right.
We're gonna get on down.
Yeah, we're gonna get on down because they say this is the teacher. We're definitely gonna bring this teacher and we're gonna send a couple of hours over here.
Okay. In that same conversation.
And then take it a little further. What about our economic systems that we were able to design and support? And when we gained the ability to shop in other places, eat in other places, stay in other places, what happened to the stores that were supported by only us?
We driving in the same lane.
Okay.
Here you go. Here's the conversation.
All right.
What we're talking about and what we're dancing around is the white is right mentality.
Mm-hmm.
White is right. Their ice is colder than mine. And it's been in the same freezer.
Same freezer. Same field.
But you gotta identify. You can't say that you can't have one without the other. Because if that's the case, integration, everybody that's out there, some of our closest friends, lifelong friends, we had the same opportunity and ability to go to a PWI.
Yeah.
Why? You could have went to the University of Alabama. I could have went to USM, Ole Miss, Mississippi. Why did you choose when you get to the substance, when you get to the core of it, what made you choose a HBCU over a PWI?
Initially, my mama said she wanted me to go somewhere where somebody was gonna look out for me, and I think her advice or influence was informed by my older brother's experience. 13 years apart, I'm getting ready to go to college, and him being 13 years older than me, and this, he just got his bachelor's degree
From a
from a PWI. And it was because of the online infrastructure. And he Reginald said, he was like, man, I wish I could have got it from an HBCU, because I feel like if I had gone to Tuskegee, I would not be in this situation right now. I would be somewhere else.
Let me tell you a very direct story for some of our listeners who may not have melanin, or some of our affiliates, allies. This is the direct story in my experience with HBCUs versus PWIs, which is a shirt, holler at, I got it made for all your merch related to that.
HBCUs versus everybody.
At a HBCU, you're going to learn about the glass ceiling. You're going to learn about discrepancies in business. You're going to learn about Emmett Till. You're going to learn about anything related to the nuances of being from our diaspora. In the PWIs, you have to sign up for those classes.
Right.
And they're going to be very much watered down.
Unless you have somebody who is truly intentional about incorporating
the truths.
Yes.
And all of the nuances with those truths. And in most cases, that's few and far between. But when you're at an HBCU, you attend a Tougaloo, Jackson State, or Howard, or whatever, they're invested for multiple reasons, because number one, they got skin in the game, and their experience 9 times out of 10 is your experience.
Right.
And that's not to take anything away from the PWIs. It's just an example of the truths that exist as it relates to MLK and his vision. And we're talking about blind spots.
Yeah.
Blind spots and nuances to his vision. Now, for me, I got my undergrad degree from a HBCU, but I got my graduate degree from a PWI.
Yeah.
Now, here are things that you will not get from a HBCU that you will get in a PWI.
What's that?
If you're in a situation to where people get comfortable and you keep your head on a swivel related to the conversations. They'll tell you who's uncle, who's alumni of Hancock Bank.
Okay.
Because in those conversations in the early 90s, in the early 80s, in the 70s, we didn't have any banks to be presidents or vice presidents.
Right.
So they'll tell you how to pull the Donald Trump moves related to the difference between Chapter 7 and Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yeah.
They'll tell you how to, when you're doing your taxes, what to claim and what not to claim, and what the government or the IRS cannot take from you. But you got to understand, they have the money and the know-how already in place to play those games.
Generational knowledge. Yeah.
And aligned with generational wealth.
Right.
We're right here in my hometown, Biloxi, Mississippi. For those of you who don't know, Barks Root Beer was founded right up the street.
Barks Root Beer.
I'm very much a fan. The Barks family is still here in Biloxi,
worldwide.
And they sold their formula to Coastwide. Our food getting cold. Take a break, or we gonna eat on set?
We at 45. So
we're 45. You just want to cut off like that because we ain't that reiterating our problem?
No. Well, I guess it is. But
we
could eat. I mean, we're having a conversation. We could eat.
Which he gonna be mad either way. Black folks gotta stop handling business because they can't eat because they gotta eat, or we gonna be eating on the screen. Martin Luther King is mad at all of that. So which one what's gonna be lesser of two evils? But I'm hungry as a hostage.
I guess we're gonna eat on screen.
Eat on screen.
And then the brother James Clement, he says he's an English and history teacher. His grandfather, triple masters, double bachelor's, mathematics, history, and architectural engineer. And you've been some of your comments have been getting cut out because they're very long. But let me highlight one of them. You're saying that MLK Jr. said we must learn to respect the dignity and worth of all human personality. And I guess you're referring to the Bush family.
Alias. Owns U.S. government corporation treasurer. Oh, yeah. That's been going on for years. You know, we haven't even gotten to the profiting of incarcerating our own.
Oh, yeah.
We ain't even gotten to that.
Yeah.
But we can't point fingers at just Caucasian people, because there are some very wealthy African Americans who own jails.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan is one of them, and I am a Jordan fan, but he has heavy involvement in the penal system and private incarceration.
Yeah. The prison industrial complex is a real thing and something to combat. As a matter of fact, one of our co-hosts is involved in a project that
now he's on his way to.
Yeah, he's involved in a project that will shine light and bring a spotlight back to something that has been in the news since the civil rights movement era. So that particular place is still in motion, operating with the same set of circumstances
from 50, 60, 70 years ago.
And we in 2023. So
let that marinate.
Yeah, let it marinate. But we I guess we definitely gonna bring our food on camera because we don't want to waste it. The boys are already eating. We appreciate, those of you that are here with us that are chiming in the comments. We've got
definitely appreciate that.
The Battle of the Bands happening behind us. You can see and you can hear a bit of it, like they wanging.
And we were talking earlier before we went live. MGM has a partnership with the city of Biloxi. And if I'm not mistaken, I need to talk to one of the I was getting to say record execs, one of the local black-owned radio stations here. He was discussing it. I think it was given as a gift for the celebration. Instead of having to pay for the park, it was given for the day. So if that's true, shout out to the city of Biloxi for handling that and those who played a part in that. But at the moment, I think how we gonna do this? How we gonna?
It says presented by Hank Aaron Sports Academy, and the Hank Aaron Sports Academy, they've got a location in Jackson. Tim Bennett, shout out to Tim Bennett. And so I'm pretty confident that that Tim Bennett made it happen. So yeah, that Hank Aaron Sports Academy, absolutely great facility in Jackson, great facility here, as they're a partner in Smith Will Stadium and also MGM Park. So now how do we switch gears from
here to eat?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to do it in part?
What'd you say, Jackson? Yeah, X-Men's asking to show you the bathroom.
So you want to
McCration know where it is too.
You want to do it one at a time. You get your food and have our comments, and then instead of both of them, even just for blank space.
Yeah. We can do that. I mean, we can take bites. I mean, we ain't gotta, just devour everything on camera. Maybe I can go through some of the. You grab the food, and I'll go through some of the events and activities that have taken place. Yeah, I saw Devin on there. We appreciate you for tuning in.
So this is what I'll do. I'm gonna go get our food.
Yeah.
And you want to address some of the comments.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Y'all excuse me as I make Dr. King upset.
Well, look, we definitely want to take a moment to highlight some of the activities, the events and activities that have happened as a part of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration that happens here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Been rolling all week, January 11th through the 16th. Financing the Dream seminar. That was a home buying and entrepreneurship discussion that happened on Wednesday, and that was at the Cadence Bank main office. Shout out to our friends over there at Cadence Bank. Thursday at the Pascagoula Senior Center, they had an additional seminar there. So one in Gulfport, one in Pascagoula. It was free to the public and open to anyone. So only thing you had to do was just go and register. The parade was earlier today, and right now we've got the annual Battle of the Bands that's happening right behind us. Thank you. And it's an all-star cast of people and organizations that were a part of this planning process. Shout out to Elitra Perriman for, I believe that she's one of the chairs of the event. And this event, we've got Pink Lotus Project, we've got Sweatman Security Service, the Biloxi Second Liners Mardi Gras Club, Praise Temple, and then there's a larger committee that puts this whole thing together. The Harrison County Board of Supervisors, Black Voters Matter, the Biloxi NAACP, and Mississippi Power. So many people. Huntington Ingalls Industries, that's a shipyard. Cadence Bank, we mentioned them before, that did the Financing the Dream. Jay-Z 94.5. You can hear Tabari behind us, our fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, the Outer Upsilon chapter, the Omega Lamplighters, our youth and mentoring group, Fisher Law Firm, and then the Hank Aaron Sports Academy. We mentioned them, and Tim Bennett, our frat brother Conway Associates. So a great group of people that come together to put this celebration on. And we wanted to get live today for a chance to not only discuss some of the things that we talk about behind the scenes, or when we're having our own conversations, from time to time. It's a constant conversation where you're doing analysis of, I guess you would say, for our Marvel fans, an alternate reality. An alternate reality where if this would have happened, then what? We could do we could say or ask those same questions as it relates to a number of events that have taken place inside of the African American experience. You already in the camera shot, Bert. They can see your hat. It's a very nice hat. I think I designed that one. But yeah. I was just letting you go. It's all good. It's all good. But I would like to know some of the questions that you and your friends wrestle with inside of your group chat, or some of the questions that you might want to ask, but you've not had the opportunity to do so. So, James, look, we appreciate you from chiming in from Atlanta, and we appreciate your comments. And look, brother, take care of your business. And look, if you get a chance to tune in the future, we'll definitely be coming back more regularly, and from locations like this where we have some of these oftentimes difficult conversations. Some people don't want to talk about or do analysis of, did our predecessors, did our elders get everything right? The thing is, like, if we didn't win, we got to learn. If we didn't win, we got to learn. Nobody wants to lose. So let's not even bring that into the ether. We're going to win, or we're going to learn from the situation where we didn't win. And when we learn those lessons, then we can fine tune, which is what I feel like Dr. King did. He began to change his approach. He began to change his messaging. He began to change his focus. Like, look, man, we ain't got no money. We ain't got no systems in business. One of the things I focus on, I guess, on the last half of 22, I started to think about what systems I needed to have in place so that some of the things that take personal time for me to do, my systems can begin to take care of those things for me. And I think that when we start to talk about financial prowess, when we start to talk about generational wealth, uh, when you layer winning and learning with that, generational wealth versus, or in addition to, not versus, but in addition to generational knowledge, when you and your kids and your kids' kids, and then that knowledge gets passed down, when we all have had decades upon decades of families that have had access to this information and are putting it into play, in addition to owning businesses, and also investing in vehicles that allow our money to make money for us, then we get to the point of equity and equality, as Bert was getting to. But if we ain't got no money, man, we ain't got nothing. If we don't have systems where we can grow our own food, if we don't have systems to uh, where we can sustain ourselves, where we can do business in a way where it is, thank you, where we can do business to where we are able to give. For instance, you want to jump in?
DJ.
We're not DJing. We're having greater conversation about economic systems and what we can do
Martin
to
Luther King's birthday.
Martin Luther King's birthday. So we're having a conversation about all of this. So when we put these things in place where we're able to create a system to where our sons can own their own business before they graduate from high school, or while they're in high school, they understand how to employ entrepreneurial skills while they're in school, and save that money so that at the same time the money's working for them, the money is growing, and they understand the landscape of everything that is happening in their community and how to influence those happenings if they happen to disagree. So if we can influence legislation, if we can influence local policy, if we can influence business decisions, what businesses are able to come to our neighborhoods and our communities, then I think that's where that equity comes from. Because the term of equity that I like is when you have ownership stake in a business, when you have uh, equity in your home, that means that your home has appreciated. It has made money, like your investment has made money. So if you've got equity, then you're getting to the point to where you can call your own shots. So Bert, I've been giving them kind of a recap or a synopsis of what it means to truly get from having access to something, but then also having ownership in it. Because access is one thing, and ownership is a whole different thing. What you trying to do, bud? You trying to? Well, I work on that. Y'all jump in. McCray, you talk about the shirt that you got on. Tell them about your shirt and what it means to you. Just we're talking about MLK. You don't have to be. It's me, you, and Uncle Bert here.
Tell them about your shirt.
What is it? There you go.
Can't hear myself.
All right, you can hear yourself now.
A Martin Luther King Jr. shirt.
Who was that? Who was Martin Luther King Jr.?
Who we're celebrating today?
So How about this? As and by the way, the food was absolutely delicious. Tell us what you know about Martin Luther King, what you've learned so far, either from school or what your dad or mom has taught you. Tell us about that.
He fought for civil rights for us.
Yes, sir, he did. What else do you know about him?
That's all.
Okay. Do you know what civil rights means?
No.
Civil rights, a definition or a working definition, or easy definition, is that everybody, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, you get the same opportunities as everybody else. Does that make sense?
It's like fairness.
That's exactly what it means. Fairness. When you talk about fairness, what does fairness mean to you?
Everyone's treated the same way.
You know another word for that?
Right?
Yeah, but it starts with an E. Starts with the E and has a Q in it. EQ.
Equalization?
Yeah. What's the root word of equalization?
Equal.
Equal. Also known as equality or equity, which means we were talking about the difference between equality and equity. Um, those words sound alike, but they mean very different things. Equality is kind of like what you said, fairness, but at the same time, you get the same opportunities with the same chances and have the same. Everything is equal in equality. Everything is equal in equality. Or I can make it kind of simple for you. Like if you and Jack Jack were playing baseball and the pitcher was the same age as you, is that fair or equitable for Jack Jack?
No.
Why is it not fair or equitable for Jack Jack?
Because the pitcher's not his age.
Exactly. Which he's probably stronger, he's bigger, and it's not fair that Jack Jack has to go against a bigger or older pitcher, huh? That's the difference. That's what equity means. Got it?
Yeah.
So, what's a way that you could fix that? If Jack Jack was playing baseball and the pitcher was older, what would you do to make it equitable?
Get a team.
Or change the what?
Pitcher.
To what?
Someone his age.
Good job. That's a very elementary explanation to the difference between equality and equity. Um, as I was stuffing my face, and Chuck was handling the transition, one of the things that we want to talk about is kind of what we're doing here, what I'm doing with my nephew. We want to have these conversations with younger people because I work in the school system, and there are some adults who have been educated, who have spent time in higher levels of education in school buildings, but they really don't comprehend or can't grasp, still in this day of 2023, can't grasp equality versus equity. Um, no matter how much education you have, no matter what it can't take away from your life experiences. Um, and things that you've been exposed to. My mother always taught me exposure accounts for a lot. And when you're dealing in situations like that, and you're in a situation to where I have no right or have no real conversation to what it feels like to give childbirth, because I'm not that's not my lane. The only thing that I could do is speak to the ladies that I know have had birth or given birth, my mother, my wife, my sister, aunts, uncles. I mean aunts, not uncles. Um, and I can hear a conversation. I can try to empathize, but at the end of the day, I cannot have a true conversation about birthing pains, labor pains, delivering a child. All I can do in a situation like that is sit down, be quiet, and hope to learn something. It's the same thing that goes on in everyday life as we're discussing MLK and his legacy and the things that have gone on. And I think the elephant in the room, or what people don't talk about, is that MLK was having conversations, or wanted to have conversations that that broached situations about change. And we all know out there in, as I say, WW land or on the airwaves, the hardest conversations are to have conversations about change, or to accept change, to be a part of change, especially for those who feel threatened related to change.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're dealing with things like that, I'm going to do everything in my power, especially those who are in power, to make it more difficult, to make it harder, to do anything that I can for change not to happen. And that's when you have bombings in Birmingham, or when you have lynchings, or when you have situations to where
Storming the Capitol.
storming the cap. That didn't happen. That's fake news. You didn't see it in real time. It wasn't anything. They were sitting in chairs threatening people of the government. Um, Most people would call that, in any situation or any country besides this one, where we're so blinded by democracy and what it represents. Most other countries would call that a coup or attempted coup.
Right.
And in most other countries, though, that's a declaration for war. And those people who participated in the coup are known as traitors, or known who participated in treason. But those are words we can't say or discuss in this situation.
Look, Jackson said he wanted to get in and say a little something. So,
All right,
Jackson, what are your comments? What are you thinking about? What's on your mind right now?
Go ahead. Nothing right now.
Nothing right now?
Then what?
Well, look, when you get ready to get on the microphone, you say, "I want to talk." You have to have something to say. So,
Okay.
if you want to say something, you go ahead and say it. Okay.
Thank you for the game we're gonna watch.
Okay.
From the marching band.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do this, Uncle Bert. Let's try to catch some of the tail end of the Battle of the Bands.
That's what you want to do?
Yeah.
I think the boys need to see it.
Yeah. And it is in their neck of the woods, right?
It is. It is.
I think we've had an engaging conversation. As you can see, we got a couple people still watching with us.
Thank you for the nice day we had.
And look, let's do this. Let's close out in prayer like we do on the way to school in the morning. Y'all want to do that?
Prayer is always good.
Who's gonna kick it off? Jackson, go ahead.
Thank you for my family. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for the game we're watching today, for the shotguns. Thank you for the game watching band we're gonna watch. And I pass it on to McQuay. Thank you for the magnificent Monday we're gonna have. The time we get to celebrate with family and friends. Thank you for all the teams or bands that are here to play. Amen. I pass it on to Uncle Bert.
Lord, thank you for this gathering of family.
Should have passed it on to Dad.
And thank you for the opportunity for us having a platform where we can speak our mind, and we don't have to worry about somebody coming to our house and bombing our house, or bombing our car, or sicking dogs on us, or things of that nature. That's one of the things we have progressed on, and Lord, we give you honor and praise for that. Keep us healthy, keep us happy, and keep us safe, and keep us seeking knowledge. And I pass it on to Chuck.
God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather as brothers, as fathers, as uncles. We thank you for the food that we receive. We thank you for the conversations that were had. We hope that the information mentioned was a discussion that maybe lit a fire, maybe caused a light bulb moment. We hope that we have the opportunity to have these conversations again moving forward. We know that without faith, we can't do anything. But we know that with the faith the size of a mustard seed, we can do anything that we set our minds to, because we are operating in the path that you set us on, and we're going to give you all the glory. We're going to keep moving on the trajectory that our life is currently operating, because we're going and growing. Every moment that we have to go, we're going to take it. And in all of those moments, God, we ask that we grow from them. And so we say a special blessing upon those bands that will have to travel back to their homes, whether they be near or far.
Yes, Lord, give them traveling grace.
Give them traveling grace. We say a special prayer for all of the organizations and the businesses that were able to support this MLK Coastwide celebration. God, we ask that you bless anybody that was involved, and let us all get safely back to our respective homes. Lead us, guide us, protect us as we go about all our activities. This is our prayer, and we all say it.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, look, y'all, we appreciate y'all for tuning in with us. If you found this of any benefit, leave us a like and a comment. Subscribe to the channel that you might have viewed this particular broadcast on. We're in Biloxi, Mississippi, on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Some people call it the secret coast, the forgotten coast, third coast, whatever you want to call it, man. We on the coast. Come holler at us. Mixed messages from the Doghouse, Blackjack Kennels, DJ George Chuck. I got it made. We here. If you need us, holler at us, and this won't be the last time that you see us together. Won't be the last time that you see us here. You gonna give the benediction? May the Lord watch between me and you.
Y'all be good or be good at it. Peace out.
Say, don't be like us, be better than us.
Yeah, don't be like us, be better than us.
You have to watch them there off.
Mike's out.